A new poll finds U.S. President Donald Trump with the lowest approval rating of any American president in the past 70 years. Hello, I'm Arnold Naidu in Washington, D.C., and this is The Heat. As he marks his first 6 months in office, U.S. President Donald Trump faces his biggest defeat yet with the collapse of the health care reform bill in the U.S. Senate. Trump promised Americans his administration would repeal and replace Obamacare, but now the Senate will move forward to simply repeal the legislation. This week, a Washington Post ABC News poll said Trump's approval rating had slipped to 36%, down from 42% in April. Former U.S. Presidents George W. Bush and Barack Obama held 59% approval at their 6-month anniversaries. We begin our coverage with CGTN's Jessica Stone in the newsroom. And Jessica, let's start with the failure of the new health care legislation. What happens now?
Well, the top Republican lawmaker in the Senate, his name is Mitch McConnell, he simply could not get his ducks in a row, his senators in a row to vote for this bill. They'll vote sometime in the near future, he says, at this point, on repealing alone the Obama health care law. The current strategy is now to partially repeal Obamacare and then give Congress 2 years to come up with a replacement plan. The Congressional Budget Office estimates this would leave 32 million Americans more without insurance over the next 10 years. And it also estimates that premiums would spike by as much as 25%. And President Trump says he will not take any responsibility for the failure of this repeal and replace effort. And he told reporters this afternoon he is very disappointed at this outcome.
It's probably better than anybody. Some states had over a 200% increase, a 200% increase in their premiums, and their deductibles are through the roof. It's an absolute disaster. And I think you'll also agree that I've been saying for a long time, let Obamacare fail, and then everybody's going to have to come together and fix it and come up with a new plan, and a plan that's really good for the people with much lower premiums, much lower costs, and much better protection.
Jessica, let's turn to another issue now, and that is the U.S. relationship with Iran. The Trump administration informed Congress on Monday that Iran has continued to meet the required conditions of that 2015 nuclear deal. Yet the U.S. State Department just announced new sanctions. What can you tell us about this?
Well, there's certainly an irony there. These sanctions are actually against 18 Iranian individuals, groups, and networks that are not connected to the country's nuclear program. Actually, they're connected to its research and testing of ballistic missiles. 12 of them are alleged to be connected to Iran's military in particular. The sanctions freeze any assets that the targets may have in the U.S., and they do prevent them from doing business with American citizens. But here's the irony that you're talking about here. This comes on the heels of the Trump administration's certification to Congress for a second time that Iran is in compliance with the 2015 nuclear deal. President Trump has heavily criticized that deal, and U.S. media reports he has told his advisors he will not continue to certify it indefinitely. Many of those same advisors actually told him to stay in the deal. And by law, the U.S. has to certify Iran is living up to that deal every 90 days on it. So we'll see this again.
Thanks, Jessica. That's CGTN's Jessica Stone reporting from our newsroom.